his theme for Urban Initiative? Do you remember what he said about being big? Be big wherever you are. Be big wherever you are. My statement aligns with that, and this is what I live by before, even before I Master Robert C. Williams. Your partner is out on the kids, but be ready. But he kept saying, no matter how small you start, no matter how many resources you don't have, no matter if you are an African American in America, no matter if you are a female in ministry, no excuses. If God is your partner, make your plans big. And then step out of the way and see what God will do. So we want you to kind of think that way as a part of the urban initiatives, to have that mindset, though, no matter where you start, no matter where you are, make sure you have the right partner. I'll also add one other thing: be obedient to God. If he says, I need someone to go and to do not, whether you understand grant writing or not, whether you know what to do with that parking lot or not, be obedient to the call of God and as quickly as possible. That's my encouragement. Don't wait, because the time is now to do big things. As Vice President of the Kojic Urban Initiatives, I'm very started under not short game. The work that we're doing is 1 quarter, right? The Falcons were playing the Vikings on Sunday, and we were at the game. And fourth quarter, with 2 minutes to go, it was 31 to 28, and the Falcons were winning. And I told my husband, let's go. The game is won. Let's go and get in front of everybody and go into the parking lot. And he said, no, we should wait. I said, no, the game is over. Let's just go. Get in front of everybody else. Forget, the game is won. Yay. So as we're walking to the parking lot, I hear all this screaming and hollering. I see, that's what happens at the end of the game when you win. Everybody's cheering. By the time we got to the car, the Vikings had won the game. They beat the Falcons. And my husband looked at me and said, you can't leave. It's a long game. It's short wins. Every little, but it's a lot. We'll help you. We'll help you build infrastructure. That's Sister Wilson's middle name, Elizabeth Infrastructure Wilson. Because ice is possible. And the bigger you want to be, the stronger your infrastructure has to be. The more paperwork you want to have in place, the more documents you want to have on the ground, the more checked offs you want to have, the more attorneys, bankers, all of those laboring things, you want to make sure you have those in place. Because if you spend that time digging deep with infrastructure, when you're ready to grow, that's you. That's your church. That's your nonprofit. That's my methodology with everything, both with church work as well as in the area of nonprofit development. I had a video I was going to run, but I'll just save it. That says my nonprofit, we started with $250 in the bank and a $5,000 grant that I still had to write. I didn't get it. I still had to write it and submit it with the bank, Wells Fargo, that we were partnering with. That was 10 years ago. But this year, we've done $30 million. This year, just this year, because we spent the time doing all of our audits, our 990s, making sure that we had accountants to look over our books. We have done 3 audits within the last 2 years because we're dealing with a lot of federal dollars. So I want to make sure every T is crossed, every I dotted. I say that because there's a pathway to growth that we want you all to embrace as early as possible. Whatever you do, we also encourage you to do it with excellence so that you get out of that chasing money, looking for grants, trying to see how you can keep your staff on. Something went away and you're looking for something else to replace it. If you do it with excellence, you never have to chase. You never have to chase. Daily, I get calls from municipalities, corporations, philanthropic partners to say, can you do this? And then write the proposal, but you're already pre-approved. So that's the kind of thing we want to bring Kojic into. We have the skills to help people do it. We have the anointing on us. We have God calling us to do this work, and yet this room is empty. But that's okay. We can start small. Okay. Okay. Whenever there are these type of things that occur, it just means we're on the right track. So don't worry about it. We have 2 days. So anything that you missed today, that people missed, we'll circle back around and share it with you. And we're asking you to sign up to make sure we can keep in touch with you so you can be a part of the webinars. And if we're coming to your city, then you can be in place for that. Some of the bigger churches that you see now, they're 501c3s. They learn how to build the board. They learn how to start applying for grants and to get in the place where they could accept various supports and resources. Even if it's not financial, if you receive resources and you manage it well and manage it with excellence, then more resources will come to you and you will be the preferred vendor. We have a program going on now that's all over the country for the next 2 years. That's an opportunity for churches to tap into that, not just because there'll be 300 or 400 mothers with children coming to your church. What I see a lot of churches doing, the first thing, oh, join my church, sign me up. Even either one of our senators, it's like, let put my church. We're like, don't go that route. Serve these people. You have the opportunity to get all of these resources to provide to them for free. But what is your next thing? How can you continue to serve without having people be members of your church? And then draw them with that loving kindness. So that's an opportunity that Sister Dennis will share with you in a little bit. But we want you all to just think different. We don't have to have a full room. We've been on the internet sharing with people who will be here with us over the next 2 days. I'm always pleased to be in small rooms because I can someone real quick, give them my card. When there's 1,000 people, you can't do that. But this is your opportunity to really cut through a lot of, the red tape because people will be right here in the room with you. So I don't want to take up too much time because we have about, let's see, an hour and a half, and we have 3 presentations that we're going to try to do today to share information with you, but this is the beginning of the information. The first wave is to get connected with, to just become an urban initiative church so that you can start hearing about and being in front of resources as they come. The third wave is as you're meeting our various leadership of the urban initiative, then you can see what leaps in your spirit when we're talking about uh, financial literacy. Supervisor Fluker will share information with you about that. Bishop Morris Jenkins, if you have a small church or a rural church, he's the point of contact that you want to at least start having conversations with. Sister Latoya Dennis, she's over our family initiative. And if you haven't tapped into the mom's ministry, the mom's tour, you want to connect. That's worth the drive. If it's going to be in your state, you want to be there, bring volunteers, and start connecting with Sister Dennis. Dr. Valda Slack, legendary over our education department. So she's going to bring in all of those resources around education. And these are all problems and areas that we as a people need to begin. Barry Winston, Superintendent Barry Winston, will make sure you're connected moving forward. Just walked in, Superintendent Robert Harrison, who's over everything having to do with crime, reentry, uh, anything working with the police departments. These are all problems in our community that we can solve as a church. We can be the solution to our problem. After I present, Supervisor Sophia Strother Lewis will share with you how to tap into resources, building capacity, knowledge, training, how to bring those things to your church, as well as how to do them with excellence. With the internet now, there's no excuse. There's well as work, but international work. When you are a smaller congregation, if you have that ability to be connected internationally, that changes the game. My father did missions work both in the local community as well as internationally as a small church. And then Superintendent John Perez, that's the other part of the world that we're not tapped into, but we're bringing in to and Black brothers and sisters together. These are all game changing initiatives. So we're pleased to have you all here today. We want to see you all succeed in an unusual way. The work that I'm doing to get to that 30 million, anybody can do it because there are resources in every community to make that happen. On Friday, we'll have someone here, but we won't be able to do a training, but she's our partner that we're working with from the federal government. So once we're tapping into resources at that level, then that means the whole nation is covered, not just a community, not just a city, not just one area. So that's where we're trying to move our churches, where our bishop is weight to move the church forward. But if every church would do their part, if every church would raise their hand and say, I got you for crime, that's gonna be our area where we're known and where we're doing our best work. Economic development, resource development. That's where we're gonna be the storehouse in our community. We're gonna partner with a Hispanic church and put it on Facebook and let people see us having Hispanics in our service. That's where you're gonna contact Brother Perez. Financial literacy, we all need to be working in that area. It's a shame what we don't know, but this is something that should be a part of your Sunday school, your Tuesday night services. Lady Winston, so good to see you. Business development, that's something we all can tap into They would not only build our communities, but would be just to, as we always say, the church, pull out your buckets. It will be an overflow. What you'll hear over the next 2 days is transformational. Transformational. I shifted. I shifted after sitting in on one session with Dr. Lula Balton. I said, we want to build a couple of houses right here on this land that we have, Dr. Balton. And I saw it. And I saw 2 acres and I saw 2 houses. When she looked at it, she said, I don't see 2 houses. I see 100 units. I said, all right, forget my eyes. Forget these little blind eyes. Forget these eyes that are not seeing clearly. I want to see through your eyes. And as you're sitting with us, we can help you see through our eyes. When you say you're in such and such a community and it's blighted and there are all these empty seats and there's these buildings that need to be torn down, I start salivating. I'm like, oh my, where's your church? Oh, yes, 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 yes. We can do a lot of work with that. That's where we need to be. If you're in communities that are underserved, disadvantaged, or if you're in communities that are going through gentrification, or if you're in communities where people are living and breathing, those are the communities we want to help you to build out. To build out not only the capacity of your church, of your beneficiary of God using you. He will not leave you alone. He will not leave you in poverty while you build out capacity for others. You're going to get as wet as everybody else. We want not just to think of our current situations or to think of what's going to be good for our children, but we also want to tap into generational capacity. That's why the mom's connection, these are people who aren't even on the earth yet, but we want to start building out resources and support and training and access can step into inheritance, can step into resources that are passed down, can step into no debt. That's a spirit. Get access to change. We want man was here, Kyle Mann. He sat in on urban initiatives classes, developed his 501c3, and he's now doing great work. And he credits the work that he learned just sitting in these sessions to being able to make those changes and those leaps. So without further ado, we have 3 of our vice presidents here to share with you today. They have done amazing work and they're over these initiatives for the entire country as well as international connections. So I'd like to first bring on Supervisor Sophia Strother, and I'm going to go try to pull up your presentation as soon as I sit down. Right after her, Sister Latoya Dennis. And if we have the ability, we're going to have Pastor Robert Harrison to wrap us up today. And then tomorrow, do not miss this session because, as I said on my flyer, we're bringing people in here who have already accessed over $1 billion. And one person tomorrow has accessed over $1 billion. and talk and tell us how you were able to do that. And he said, yes, I'll come. All right. So since Dennis is passing out some information, I'll take that and help pass it out. The next speaker, Supervisor Sophia Stroger Lewis. Test. Test.
All right. Good morning. I'm a little louder, so we should be good as far as the mic not working right now. So, oh, okay. Okay, great. So I am primarily responsible for undergirding and supporting all of the VPs that are within urban initiatives. I come from a background of fundraising. I used to call myself a professional beggar because that's all I did was go and ask for money. Been able to raise um, to have a diversified portfolio. One of the things I always tell people, you cannot just solely rely on grants alone. And a lot of people aren't even ready for substantial grants. One of the things that Evangelist Wilson said that is key is making sure you have your structure in place as you go to build up. What is your structure fee? Also, making sure that you separate it out from the church, making sure you have a separate 501c3 from the church to do community work. And also, and you are establishing and building your own set of to really progress. Having those board ambassadors, having a board that is not just every member of your church on it when you're doing community work. All the deacons aren't qualified to make community level decisions, or again, if you're applying for 7-figure grants, you want to make sure that you have a lawyer that's on your board. You want to make sure you have a CPA that's on your board. Whatever that cause or social issue you're going to attack, having somebody that's in financial trust. Those that are living are able to then get resources through the living trust as opposed to going to a traditional bank. And it helps to eliminate generational poverty. Being able to pass into the next life and not leaving your family in debt is the very first step. Making sure that you have older, you can always draw on that cash insurance capital as well. Or if there's an emergency or if anything comes up, you now have a little nest egg tucked aside. So we talk about how do you build that? How do you do investment planning and knowing the differences between IRAs, your 401ks, the different stock options that you have, and to be very smart about it, even when you're dealing with cryptocurrency and things of that nature. So do you have The presentation also goes into detail about what the organization does, it doesn't take thousands of dollars. Please don't allow people to get you entrapped into that and take all your money and then still have what you need to get done. So it talks about the different ways, and it also talks about you to be called the SAM number. If you already have a 501c3 that is not your church, because church you don't want to intercept and have them involved, have the feds and everybody involved in your personal books, because then you have to divulge what donors give and how much. Then you got that separate community oriented 501c3. You want to get a Sam's ID number that's free, and it's taking the place of Dunn's number. So now, in order to get any federal and some state contracting, you have to have a Sam's ID. So we talk about that. And then we go on to talk about like what is the plan for you to get some mentor and some other resources. One of our newest partners is Operation Hope. So they're an entity that basically will provide you free financial literacy for yourself personally, but they have what's called the 1 Million Black Business Initiative, which we're partnering with them on, where they've partnered with Spotify and they provide you with free credit counseling. So please, if you have credit issues and you're needing to consolidate, don't go through those companies that will one charge you. They purposely will want you to be defaulted by so many days so that they can negotiate what you can actually do on your own. I consult people how you can do what they do and not have to pay the money. But they will actually help you with your credit score. They will help you write your business plan. They actually provide mentoring based on what you think you may want to do. So even if this is on a personal level, you have a particular hobby of something you wanted to hone in. It could be you do your own ministry as a brand. You're branding yourself and you're branding that ministry and you want to know how to really be robust in that. They can help you with marketing strategies and also connect you with funders in order to get some of those things done. So Operation Hope .org is where you can go, and again it's going to be all in the link that we share with you as well. We also go ahead and we give you 15 different types of funding opportunities depending on what you're doing, so those links are in there as well. Partnering with us, we can also do a deeper dive of consulting and helping you figure out like which entity might be the best for you to explore based on what you're trying to do. We also talk about one of our main, I don't want to say sponsors, but partners, which is Red Cross. We have an MOU with Red Cross. I didn't hand this out, but I will, just so you can, somebody help me. These aren't as clear, but that's okay. Um, and the reason I want to hand them out is because I want to give an example of what this partnership and why partnerships and networking is so vitally important, especially in this work. Everything that I talk about, especially between my professional realm and in ministry, has been it's all about relationships to leverage resources because we only have but so much. We can only get so much from our members, and I'm one of those members. Stop taxing me. I need you to stop taxing me when we have 15 businesses right in our immediate area where this ministry is, and not once have you stepped outside the door to go to a chamber meeting. Not once have you been to a ribbon cutting for a business that just opened up. Not once have you been at a city council meeting to find out how can we get on the line item in the city based on the needs that they have and what we do and what we can provide. How do you network? This is because I also work with the evangelism department. This is the summary I put together of the work that we did this year. And the very top box says what? What's that dollar figure? I can't hear you. $100,000. That was from me attending a conference called the National Voluntary Organizations Active in Disasters. I got a grant through Walmart to be able to attend this conference where there was probably maybe about 10 of us out of about 2,000. And when I say us, I mean people that look like me. that was at this resource, and I was blown away by all of the different vendors that were there. And as a result, from one relationship that I made after that, I was able to get $100,000 in brand new supplies shipped over to Kojic Missions in their warehouse in Baton Rouge. And we're talking about period packs, hygiene packs, backpacks, blankets, emergency supply things. So $100,000 that now the national church does not have to pay out when we're responding to disasters, which mission responds to disasters, the nurses unit responds to disasters, evangelist department, even urban initiatives. And that just came from going to a conference, building relationship, and then letting them know we had a need. And literally, not even 4 weeks after that conference, they had shipped those things free of charge. So it just goes to show when you're working with urban initiatives, these are individuals within this organization that really can help you build those same type of crucial relationships that whatever you're doing on the local level doesn't necessarily have to come out of your church budget or the church's pockets, everybody's pockets, because it's out there. It's all about how do we connect. So even with the empowerment series that you see, which is number 2, we've hosted 6 so far this year, dealing with financial literacy. We deal with entrepreneurship. Again, we had Operation Hope. We had the vice president of that 1 Million Black Business Initiative there on the webinar to talk through how you can tap in for free. For free. Like, I got to stress, for free. You get a mentor, you get a business coach, you get free business plan, marketing solutions for your ministry, for your personal ministry, for your own personal business, or you can share it out to others that may need those resources. All of that has culminated into us being able to do our inaugural Financial Legacy Summit. This is something we want to take on the road. We did the Houston edition, and we had from the General Board Bishop Bryant, who hosted us, and then we had about 6 other bishops, all from that Houston area that supported us, coming in to actually just get nitty gritty. Like, we did a session and got in a very intimate setting. Then we had a spiritual well service, and then that Saturday we had a half-day session that was packed. I'm talking about like legitimate things that you could start doing that day, or connections you can start making immediately to turn your own personal finances around, but also any ministry work that you're doing as well. That the QR code that you will be able to get, in the link that'll be shared on our Facebook page, soon as you click on that, you're able to see all of the presentations. So everything that we shared is readily available. That's going to be live for, we have another 3 months before that link is taken down. So I would encourage you to go to our Facebook page so that you can look those resources up and get that QR code and download it before February 1. Now, if you're interested in potentially having it to where we can facilitate the summit in your area, you'll be able to reach out to us, no problem. Again, the vice president over financial literacy is Deacon Larry Bland. He is not here right now, but anyone within our circle can make sure that you're connected, especially Superintendent Winston, because he's the jurisdictional coordinator. So anybody within that jurisdiction, he'll make sure the information gets to us. With that particular one, we were able to touch over 28,000 people on the hybrid model, because we did virtual and in person, and then we had 174 that were able to come between the 2 days, which for an inaugural is fantastic. What also lets us know that people are hungry for this type of information, and the fact that we're giving it to you for free. There was no registration fee to attend. You just show up and get the information for free. That is what we're tasked with, urban initiatives, and I just love Emeritus Blake for having the vision to have this come forward, because so many of us don't have access. And that's just period, even in the Black community, period, just being able to have access. But especially when it comes to monetary resources, which are absolutely vital to do ministry. Like, we cannot sit here and say, oh, well, it's not about the money, I love the Lord. Lies, because you have to do both. I can love the Lord, but I need money to do the work. I didn't get here just on loving the Lord. I had to have a couple, $2, $3 to get here. And to miss work for some of us that have to miss work. So again, being able to combine the two. And then, of course, today and tomorrow we'll be having our sessions here. And then also, I wanted to make sure we touched on the fact that we did incorporate DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, Because what we have to realize, even though we're a predominantly African American um, organization, we're not all just black or African American. Like we do have a lot of different ethnicities that are a part of the church, and we need to start reflecting that more consistently. So when it comes to how we respond, we're not going to just respond to quote unquote black issues. Again, we just had it to where in Maryland, somebody, because his feelings hurt, went and killed 18 people at a youth night bowling, and then went up the street to a bar and killed some more folks. None of them look like us, but it's still a tragedy nonetheless that we should still be concerned about, praying for, and talking about and acknowledging when those types of things happen. Also, when we're looking at Hispanic population, they are actually the majority in America. I don't know, did anybody know that? That they're the majority. And the reason why it doesn't reflect that when it looks at the census is because we still count them as white. Just maybe 10 years ago, they didn't have the Hispanic, not Hispanic. They were counted as white. But they are actually the majority in America. And certain states you live in, like mine, I'm in Texas, over 50% of the population is Hispanic. So if I am not, if I'm in a ministry, if I am not incorporating that culture into what I do as far as how I market the ministry, do you ever actually have maybe a bilingual service, even if it's just once a year? Just anything that you can do to show that you're representing what the majority is, if it's in your immediate community or just period in America. We want to make sure that we're tapping into all the ethnicities, and you might be in a community where it's heavy Asian or just whatever that looks like. What are we doing to step outside of the box of just traditional church as usual and making sure that we're building multicultural ministries? And so with our DEI division, that's really what we're focusing on. And we're going to be doing a two-part series on how do you build a multicultural church? There's a few people that have done great at being able to adhere and touch all of these ethnicities. And then there's some that we just come to church and realize that Sunday is the most segregated day of the week. Because it still very much is. We still are very much in that pocket. So how do we break that silo down? And so we'll be really diving into that as well. We also will be having a session coming up in February where we'll have Evangelist Wilson who'll be talking on how do you redevelop land. I know Bishop Sheridan last year really made a public stance about we have a lot of ministries sitting on property that we're not doing anything with, or we're in a community where there might be a lot of dilapidated or what we call opportunity zones. And even outside of that, there are just some cities that will sell it to you for $1 long as you make sure that you develop on it within a certain period of time. Bishop Jenkins, who is actually a part of our board, is also a contractor, has been able to take advantage of some of that in Houston as well, and has a lot of knowledge behind that as well. So those are some additional resources that we're able to get out to you to where you have a plan. I always tell people we need to have a strategic plan. In that strategic plan, it's always good if you want to say, well, in the next 3 years, we want to do this. Within the next 5 years, that's great. But the reality is having 3, 6, 12-month goals are so much more effective, primarily because as you knock stuff down, you're motivated. Okay, yep, boom, we got our 501c3, or we restructured, or we did some target market research, or we sat down and met with the mayor, met with the governor, or we built relationships with those chambers, or if there's any other type of associations in the area. Like in our city, Links is huge, so that we make sure we're with the Divine Nine. If you don't know about sororities and fraternities, you don't know what that is. But even building relationships with those Divine Nine and other groups that can really help spread your message, especially when it comes to community and social work. And so under the training umbrella, under the empowerment umbrella, we strive to help you all build relationships that can benefit the work and the vision that you have. Also make sure that you personally are good. Making sure your finances and you have the nuances to be successful is vitally important. And then again, these are things that some of us charge real money for. I got a $2,500 retainer fee just to give you a couple hours of my time. So the Lord knows when He has it in our heart for us to do this work, we're doing it literally. It's a value. So take advantage of the fact that we are here to pour into you, because that's the mission. That any one of us If you don't know which one is the right one, any one of us can at least connect you and partner you with the right entity based on what you're trying to do. But again, make sure that you are out there consciously. How do I make and build relationships? Ministry is not just on Sunday, it is not just in four walls, it is outside of the four walls. And how impactful are we outside of the four walls? So, again, 501c3, I implore you, if you do not have one outside of your church, get one. If you don't have one for your church and you are still using Kojik's charter, get off of it, get your own. Because what you don't want is for something to happen and they come in, swoop, take everything, you have no say so based on where some of the resources are that you've helped build. Also, making sure you have a succession plan within ministry and then a succession plan within your own family set out. That's very, very vital because you do not want to leave people guessing, chaos, things of that nature, and you do not want to leave your family with your debt. So again, one of those things that we will deal with and continue to focus on, the financial economic impact is what can drive how far you go in ministry. It's actually vitally important in that regard. I'm going to stop here very briefly. And also, real quick, I just want to let you know that in that folder, and I'm going to resend that to you, Elder Smith, because the one I sent to you just now was just for one presentation. I'm going to send you the whole folder in just a minute, too. It talks about our tablet initiative. I see Supervisor Fluker's not here right now, but I do want to stress it. So Urban Initiatives for over 2 years now has actually been promoting a tablet program, which I think is phenomenal in the sense to where you're able to, for free, partner through Urban Initiatives to get your own 800 number. And what that 800 number does, and there's a flyer, normally I would have the flyer up. I don't have it right now, but that's okay. There's a flyer that I've been just creating for people for free because the one that they give you is terrible. But it will have on there your jurisdiction or the local church or the district, whichever one you signed up under. But you're able to now promote that your entity, is doing a community tablet giveaway. And so what I did, I'm just going to talk about my experience in Texas. I'm under my local bishop is Bishop Shelton Rhodes with Texas Southwest Second. I'm supervisor of Senegal, Gambia, West Africa under Bishop Lorenzo Lee. But what I've been able to do with both jurisdictions is have them get their own 800 number. We put it on a flyer that we promote via social media, and then I hooked up with the Omegas. The Omegas in my area are very, very community conscious, and I hooked up with Head Start. Everybody in Head Start would be automatically eligible. So what I was able to do is get them to go to their family advocates and say, hey, look, your families can get a free tablet for the children to be able to do educational activities. All you have to do is turn that thing on once a month and you'll have free internet for 5 years. That's the only stipulation. And so they were able to immediately, I think I got out like 100 in one day because they were just signing their families up. And all the families have to do is call the 800 number. We don't have to do anything. All we do is give the information out. They call the 800 number, certify them, and then we set a date that we want to pass it out in the community. And those families have to come to us. How I incorporated my church was I made it to where the pickup location was at our church right before service. So what happened was during one of our district meetings, we had it listed from like 5 to 8. That way we knew that they would come as we're preparing or while we're in service. And so many people that came, oh, we didn't even know you all were here. We didn't even know you all did this. We were able to pick up a food pantry connection and everything else. So it's a great way to incorporate it into ministry because now, and this is what it is, if you say you're giving something away, people will come. They will come. You know, and then when they get there, we giving some Jesus away too. But outside of that, you were able to get a tablet, which is what you need for accessibility. But then we were able to also share about our ministry too. And so it was a great, and on every flyer, I would actually staple the business card to my pastor. So if they wanted to follow up or if they needed prayer, they would have our information and we weren't like shoving it down their throat, but they at least now know that these are the types of things we're doing in community, which might make them like, oh, they're really doing some advanced stuff. It's not just no chicken dinner. Okay, we might can work with this. And so we were able to actually get some individuals to come and visit our ministry as a result. So that's another initiative through Urban Initiatives that you all can tap into at the local church, or if you have your own nonprofit, because it doesn't have to be just the church. You might have a nonprofit that you're working with, or you may know some other partners in your community that you'd want to link up with and do it together. Again, it's just a great resource. So I'm going to stop there right before my time is up to see if anybody has any questions. Yeah, so I actually have the paper too, but we're gonna make sure that we post it on the Urban Initiatives page on Facebook. And then that way you're able to go, and I'm just gonna do the link there, because if you're already on the phone, the QR code will do you no good, but we will send the link to where all of the presentations from the Financial Legacy Summit, along with a video on how to implement the tablet program, with that vendor is on there as well, so you're able to get that information, and then our contact information too to reach back out. You also have our phone number and email address over here to where you can also reach out that way too. Yes, so Latoya will talk about how some of them, and Latoya, this is a good segue if that's okay, if you wanted to just transition up, because they're going to ask a few questions too. But the Mom's Tour, which is great, and she'll go into a little bit more detail, is great because they're trying to continue scheduling through 2024 and 2025. So some cities, like the rest of this year, is already mapped out. She'll talk about some of those cities. But there's an opportunity for us to get some on the calendar for 2024 and 2025. And what's phenomenal about that is being able to host that, again, brings now a plethora of community people to where you're at. Even if it's not at your local church, you might host it, you might find a facility that we can in the community. But again, now you're branded with this event, which is basically, it's a community baby shower, but it's also allowing you to interact with dads, because there's specific space for dads, there's a specific space for children, and then of course expecting moms or moms that just had a child within 2 years. So now you're getting ready to get to the core of why people want to be associated with ministry. They want to know that they feel like family. And I think that's the key thing, that element that we lost during COVID that we have to kind of build back, is now it's, they don't really care about that. They can just jump on their phones and see it live. But we want you to know that when you come here, you're family. And the Mom's Tour really helps to set that up, and she'll get into how you can do that and partner. But they're literally changing lives, because Black women are dying at astronomical rates. And we actually have the highest mortality rate, period, for an established country like we are. We have the worst in education. We have the worst statistics when it comes to maternal health, and then of course Black maternal health on top of that, and then childbirth deaths. Like, it's just been astronomical. But I think with what we're doing with educating, and I even say with Mom's Tour, even if you can't host an actual tour, maybe you can host a webinar. Maybe you can host Ms. Dennis coming to just talk about that and do some kind of informational session, especially if you stay in a community where you know you're plagued by poverty or other social economic things that are social determinants of health. Like, so there's ways to be creative, no matter where you are or what size your ministry is. Either way, it looks phenomenal that we as a church body can start integrating ourselves again into these social issues, because the church was the spot. We know that 50s, 60s, I mean, that's where you went. They were over politics. That's where we were the hospitals, literally. And we've kind of gone away from that. And I think us going back to that, kind of us being that central hub, is really going to help with growth and people really having their lives changed. And so at this time, Miss, okay, she's going to introduce her, but then she can also further answer your question.
Thank you, Supervisor Stozer. We are really excited to have our newest Vice President of Family, who is also over the Mom's Tour. That she has a wealth of information to share with you. Again, the Mom's Tour is something that every community can tap into, even if it's not directly at your church, you can still be supportive. So we're asking Caller's sister, Latoya Dennis, to come and to share. And I think you want to do your video first? Okay, all right. Sister Latoya Dennis.
Thank you. How are y'all? Good. So I am Latoya Dennis, newest VP of Family. Um, I think what you guys should know about, and I'm new, but I think after hearing all that's been presented and what I know about CUI is we, the individuals that are a part of this group, is a wealth of resources. Um, Sophia mentioned the development. I'm 20 years in development, certified in nonprofit management, specifically in fundraising and program development. And so coming here to add value, not just for the VP of Family, but also just how we can incorporate resources and development and programs in your communities and at your churches. So I wanted to share a little bit, and behind me, they are showing a video of, I think they captured some of the Moms Tour. So the Moms Tour, it is a 2-year community baby shower in the top 50 cities where we have high maternal mortality. CUI is a partner. We have been to 20 cities. We have 5 left to go, 21, sorry. We have 5 left to go, and we've served maybe 4,500 moms, about 1,900 dads. We've partnered with more than 1,700 organizations, and that being the organizations, because what we do is we go into the cities, we bring the city into the community baby shower. We want the moms to be connected to resources because we have 3 goals. One is to connect moms to resources, not just those that we are giving away, diapers, wipes, formula, right? But the resources in the community, the organizations that serve moms and dads and families on a regular basis. We are also increasing the workforce. And so in every city, we certify 20 doulas. This is important because we know that where there is a high percentage of doulas, there's a low percentage of maternal mortality. And our third goal is to create evidence-based curriculum for practitioners and health systems that is based for African Americans, people of color. We are dying at a rate 4 times more likely than any other race. As she mentioned, the United States is #1 in maternal mortality above any developed nation. And I can tell you that it's not based on insurance. It doesn't matter if you are on Medicaid or not. I paid $50 to have my son. We miscarried 5 times, and the 5th time, had I not made it to the hospital within the 10-minute time frame, I would have died. We, we go to a different doctor only to learn that I was miscarrying because my body wasn't producing progesterone. And the doctors did not care to investigate. As a matter of fact, my doctor told me, black women have miscarriages all the time, just keep trying. And so upon my new doctor just checking me out, and that's one of the things that we face with, and that is implicit bias. So this evidence-based curriculum will help with the implicit bias, challenging doctors and healthcare systems to look at us as people and to understand that our bodies are different. Fast forward 4 days after having my baby, I was released from the hospital, and I had gestational diabetes and preeclampsia during my pregnancy, which is common. It's a common morbidity among black women, right? But they tell us that when we have our baby, those symptoms will go away. 4 days home, my body starts to reject itself. I am dying because as African Americans, with that morbidity being high culturally among us, we have to be treated for high blood pressure, because that's basically what it is. We have to be treated for diabetes and gestational diabetes, even if it's a pregnancy term. Postpartum, it affects us, and that is when majority of African American women die postpartum after suicide. And so I wanted to share some statistics. I talked about the number of moms that we've seen, but a part of our registration when we're targeting moms is we are asking a series of questions. One, in order to ensure that we connect them to the doulas, right? We're certifying the doulas, we want to connect them to the doulas. We found that more than 43% of that 4,500 moms that we've served, they want to be connected to doulas. So we are able to connect them directly to doulas, understanding that that is going to reduce maternal mortality. When you have somebody that can advocate for you, that can ask the right questions, that can talk to the doctor to say, she's feeling this, and they are forced to listen. You have somebody that when we were, I'll share a story, 3 months in, we were told that we lost our baby. And my husband was in the hospital, the doctor's room with me, and they said, you know what, let's just walk across the street and we're going to do a DNC. And my husband said, well, this will be the sixth DNC. Maybe that's causing her the complications. I wasn't in position to advocate for myself. I would have walked across the street to have the DNC. My husband insisted that we not. They did the sonogram only to find that the hospital had made a mistake. There my baby was, kicking and moving. So had I walked across the street, I would have aborted my son. We named him Chance because God gave him a chance at life. But advocacy and having paternal advocacy or doulas is critically important. So we found that 43% wanted doulas. We're doing work with the Department of Health and Human Services, so they ask questions about Medicaid and prenatal care, and a great percentage of our moms do need Medicare or prenatal care. But one of the highest percentages of all the questions that we ask, it's related around mental health. And I don't know if you all know, but mental health is the leading cause for maternal mortality postpartum among Black women. They are taking themselves out. And so what we found is 48% of the moms, nearly half of the moms that we've seen, 48% said, I want mental health. I want mental support. So we are able, upon leaving a city, we're connecting with those resources in that city. We identify the organization that serves the mental health, and we direct all of those moms directly to those agencies so that they could immediately get the help. That's how we know that we are reducing maternal mortality. We're connecting we're connecting them to mental health support, and then we are providing the resources need most immediate for them to be able to care for their children, have the resources needed. The baby shower, it is a community baby shower. We are celebrating moms, but we're celebrating moms in a way that we're helping them to learn how to advocate for themselves. We want to save lives, and the rate that we're dying, we have to, because it's majority us. When Supervisor Sophia talked about Hispanics being the majority, um, it's no wonder they're killing us. Doctors not listening to moms. We're dying. Infant mortality is high among Black women. And so we have got to be the village to help moms live, to help moms to understand how to advocate for themselves so they can better take care of themselves. We've got to bring back doulas and midwives. It worked for our ancestors. It works today. And so that is what the Moms Tour is all about. We are coming up on Oklahoma and Oklahoma City and Tulsa this weekend. We'll be in Atlanta once again on November 19th. Then we head over to Puerto Rico. When you talk about diversity and inclusion, people of color are dying. Women, Black women 4 times more likely, but Hispanics 3 times more likely, along with Alaskan Indians and American natives. And so we are targeting people of color. And then our last stop will be Prince George County in Maryland. We were going to Albuquerque, New Mexico, but that city have been shifted to 2024. We will obviously release the 2024 cities, and again, it's based on the top 50 cities with high maternal mortality initially. However, that's the Moms Tour. We're here to serve you so we could come to your city and offer resources and programming around maternal health or paternal health, camps, programs for kids and dads and moms. And I think a little later we'll talk about some things that we're doing in the top of the year with dads. We've partnered with the NFL Alumni Association, and they're going to go on a tour in our church communities to target our dads and families to have conversations around fatherhood. Most people say that black dads are absent. That's just not true. And so we want to bring dads in, help them to understand the importance of them leading their family in faith first, right? But across the board. And so that program will launch in 2024, and we're open to finding ways that we can serve you and your congregation with programs around family. Not only are we bringing the programs, but we will help bring the resources so that you create sustainability for those programs. So, any questions? Yes. Yes. Yes, the tour is a one-day event, and we do stay in touch with the moms that have registered. We also stay in touch with the exhibitors, the community-based organizations. With the certifying of doulas, your church may have a medical ministry, and we will come in and certify all of your medical ministry for free for you to have a doula program. One of the things that we're launching next year is we are helping doula ministries create sustainability. One of the problems with doulas is, and this is a problem across the board, resources to pay themselves to service the moms. And with Medicaid, not all of the states and the cities have been approved for postpartum care with a doula. And so we are creating opportunities ourselves to say, we're going to create sustainability with doula organizations, meaning we're going to raise money to pay these doulas a salary so that they're not stifled from serving moms because of Medicaid, right? So that one-day event turns into an overall program where we are keeping in touch. We reach out to the moms because we're asking on that survey, when are you due? Are you due 6 months from now, 3 months from now? So when they are, we're sending out information and resources so we can stay in community with them, but then we can also make sure that we follow up with the practitioners and the doulas and the midwives in those communities to ensure that they're serving the moms. Yes. Did I answer your question? Okay. Yes, it will be available on the website, but CUI will release that information ahead of time. We will have all 2024 cities confirmed by December 9th. And so they're pretty much confirmed, but because we're in partnership with the Department of Health and Human Services, it's government, so everybody has to put their eyes on it. But we're actually going to 30 cities next year, and we will release that through our newsletter, CUI's newsletter, but you can also find it eventually on the momstour.info as well. But if you're interested in hosting something like that, and you're not on the Moms Tour City, we can also help do that. I just want to make that clear, right? Okay. Any other questions? Yes. Yes, and we did produce a webinar and can do many more. I'm about 3 weeks old in the position, although I've been doing the Moms Tour since February. We can definitely have more regular, what do they, what are the, webinars, I'm so sorry, talking about the Moms Tour and where we are and what's to come. But we can also push that out through our newsletter. I don't know that I don't know that we've done a good job of that just because there was no one in this position, but we certainly can going forward to help everybody to understand where we're going to be. And lastly, how we can use your help, right? Quite honestly, I've raised, while the government is leading the initiative, the government doesn't fund the initiative. And so I've had the responsibility of raising about $1.2 million to do the Moms Tour. And so we are raising the money, we're doing the work. And so we would love, if your city is not on that, we definitely want to extend the opportunity to be able to come to your city and offer those services as well, especially if there is high maternal mortality. I mean, we want to be able to do that. Any other questions? No? Oh, yes. Yep. 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 That's a great point, and we do partner with all of government agencies, especially WIC and Healthy Start programs, because they have the resources to the moms, right? They have the connection to the moms in the community. They can get the word out to ensure that the moms come to the event to receive the resources and the education. So that would be awesome. I'm in Texas. I'm in the DFW area, so we would love to be able to talk about that. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Oh, on this, yeah, okay. And we're going to have our president, Dr. Coleman, to come up to share before our next
Just a
presenter.
moment. Thank you, missionary. I just want to throw a plug in. She's doing a phenomenal job, Sister Latoya, but the thing I want to plug in is just like now, we need your help. We need your help to spread the word, number one, and number two, volunteer. Because as I stated when we first started this, oh, use the mic. I'm sorry. Get in front of the mic. I got you. Thank you. Sorry. So as we started this earlier, we have to understand that we got to be intentional about what we're doing. And everyone is just not coming to our churches just because of the name on it and so on and so forth. So we have to be intentional. And in being intentional, we have to know that it's going to take a little bit more groundwork than what we're doing right now. For instance, let me ask, show of hands, how many of y'all think this information is priceless? Cool. Cool. We should charge, right? She said don't charge. We did and guess what? We're still not done. We still have another hour, and then tomorrow we have some phenomenal people that are coming, and I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it. So I asked her to throw this plug in because we need boots on the ground, okay? It's one thing to come in and get the information and say, "Ooh, yeah, yeah," but it's another thing if we're not going out and sharing and spreading the news with those. So Superintendent Winston was up earlier when he was sharing as far as jurisdictional coordinators and certification and so on and so forth. But we need volunteers even today. I mean, where we could have people passing out handbills, say, hey, we got information, pastors and elders, so on and so forth. We're trying to get the information out to the people. I love this church. I love the Church of God in Christ, born and raised in the Church of God in Christ. I love the church. But we're not going to continue to grow. We're not going to continue to be the church that we tout in being, that we're 6.5 million if we're not out there working and doing the work. Amen. And we have to. And so I need your support in that regard and that effort. So I saw this on here, so please make sure you're scanning. Make sure you give us your know where you're from. Missionary Elizabeth Wilson, she is over this week, all right? So I just want everybody to know, and she's our executive vice president, and she's over this week and has an array of persons that are ready to present. But Sister Sophia Strother, she works alongside her. She's over our training development. And I mention her because she does a lot of the boots on the ground with individuals that would like to help, that would like to work, that would like to do this and know this. So she would be the person to get information. Make sure you get your information to her so that she can disseminate this across the board. All right? And so with that being said, we have some other VPs coming in, and I know we got some more presentations, so I'm going to sit down. Bless you. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing. Say right here. So she was mentioning earlier, and I want you all to pray about this. Pray for us. But literally, we're going to have a meeting at 11:30, I think, in just a little bit, working on leadership conference, which is going to be in Atlanta. And we have contact with NFL alumni and other things. So we're going to really try to kick this Dad's initiative off big in Atlanta in January. So please pray for us, pray with us in that. So we're literally meeting to kind of work on that. We have other individuals, shameless plug, that work in a financial institution that wouldn't mind helping us financially and help support and all that kind of good stuff as we're doing these things across the country. And so pray with us in that effort, all right? God bless. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Coleman. He's doing such a wonderful job and running around trying to make sure everybody's in the right room. So we appreciate all of the efforts, all of the speakers. As I mentioned before, two things about being big for those who are just coming, share again. First, but say it. Where? To be big where you are. That's Dr. Coleman. Every time you see him, just say, I'm going to be big where I am. And then Pastor Robert C. Williams, what was his saying? Say that, say it loud. Make your plans big. And I'll also say, if you're going to have the Moms Tour, make sure you have big. We did the Moms Tour in Atlanta. We said, we got it. We have enough room. Of course we can host this at our church. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. After all of these women and babies and resources showed up, I said, I didn't make my plans big enough. This is bigger than you think. What you want to make sure you have the ability to do is think big. Think stadiums. Think conference size. Think school auditoriums. Because you want to host it, but you want to host it in excellence. So that's, as it comes to you, if you have a small fellowship hall, we said we can have it in our fellowship hall. Sure. Not big enough. So anything you're doing with the Urban Initiative, move forward, think big and think long game. As we said, we want you to start, but we want you to finish well and have enough resources to do the work. We have presenters today, well, one other presenter today, and then Superintendent Perez, you tomorrow, but do you want to also speak to this group as well? Okay, well, we'll have first our over crime and reentry, which is facing the entire country. These are issues that every politician, every city mayor, everyone is dealing with, and the church needs to be right there in the center of it, providing solutions. So we have excellence, not only in Superintendent Robert Harrison, who's also formerly involved in the judicial system, but also Superintendent Winston was also involved in the judicial system for years. So we have the capacity to help you, even if this is not an area of expertise for you. We have the expertise as a part of the Urban Initiative. So without further ado, Superintendent Robert Harrison.
Good morning. I just had a great morning. My bags are in Atlanta, but I'm here today. Amen. Amen. Okay. How many of you know what the color orange means? You know, colors represent something. Anybody knows what the color orange means? It is a sign of anti-violence. In my church, I have a flag. It's an orange flag that hangs outside of it. And this flag hangs out just like the Star Spangled Banner. It just sits there. It is the sign for everybody in that community that all day and all night there's somebody there in case children are running. They see an orange flag. They're not looking for people. They're looking for safety. And what I'm starting off with that is to say that each and every one of us can be an intricate part in our communities. And only sometimes all you need is a flag. But you also have to understand and learn, the first thing we wanted to do, our goal with crime prevention is to help you in your communities. There are over 25 different areas of crime. It's not always shooting. It's not always killing, and it's not always drug dealing. How many of you know that drug dealing and drug using are in two different communities? You go from one location to the other. You pick up here, you drop off there. And everybody that uses drugs and everybody that shoots, you're going to pass a church. You're going to go through a church. So one thing that we're trying to do is to equip every church, urban, suburban, rural, small, medium, large, mega, with identifying their areas of how they can be effective with crime. I used to be the former deputy commissioner of faith-based for the city of Philadelphia. And I had everybody coming to me asking me for money. Oh, Pastor, we need some money over here. My question was, what are you doing in your community? We got a lot of drug dealing over there. That's not drug using. You want to get people out of your community and you want to clear up the community. One thing that we did was I had one of my theses was to deal with drug dealers. We always want to pray for them to get off of our corners. Nobody want to pray for their salvation. We started praying that they got saved on the same corner they sold the drugs on. So we have to look at things, and when it comes to crime, when it comes to the Church of God in Christ, to look at things from a different perspective. We got to look different than how society sees them. These are souls. And one thing we're trying to do is to be creative in addressing these souls. So one thing that we've done is to come up with different types of programs every single church could position themselves to be. When you go out to get funding, they're going to ask, what are you doing? Not what are you going to do? What have you done? You have to establish yourself as an intricate part of the community outside of having the name church. You have to be more than just a church. So our goal when it comes to that is to help you identify your areas when it comes to crime. And trust me, I'm going to throw this out, including senior citizens. One of the biggest areas right now where you can get funding when it comes to crime is for senior citizens. Does anybody know why I said that? Okay. Well, here it is. They're being held captive in their homes because you can't come outside. So literally, they're being incarcerated in their own homes and communities. So there are programs that can be developed to work with senior citizens, even when it comes to getting funding for crime. So what we wanted to go over very quickly is some of these areas. Yeah, I got it on here. See, it tried to hold me back. First thing is programs and trainings. There's 4 areas: programs and trainings, social justice, crime and reentry. I'm going to highlight that crime and reentry because I'm about to drop something that we really don't pay attention to. and this has been happening for the last 15 years. There are more females being incarcerated right now. They're done with the men. Now they get the mothers. We keep hearing crime, and we keep thinking of these things, that we're not looking at the females, and which is a totally different component, because you can't treat them in the same category and put them in. So we have to be mindful of that when it comes to, there's money working with females. But you have to have that capacity to do it. And also community outreach and partnerships. These are programs that we want to help, small programs. We already have it, and some of these have been established to be major programs. So the first one is programs and training, which is, these are some of the programs that you can get, which are mentoring programs. Mentoring programs, we talked about dads. Mentoring programs, there are different capacity of dads. You can do a mentoring program for people coming out of incarceration, addressing them. How many chaplains do we have that are chaplains inside of prisons? They also can be giving you the information on those who are returning back to your communities. Did you know that? I have chaplains in the city of Philadelphia who all have are notifying me when the people are coming back into the communities that they're coming back into. So we address them and we help them and support them while they're in the prison. Prior to them coming out, we start coming at them and start working with them and being mentors for them. The other one is social justice. On social justice, let me go back. Family visitation programs. This is one of the programs that we developed, and what we're trying to do in helping, we've helped about a few churches in Las Vegas, Church of God in Christ, in working with visiting people in prisons. Some churches got a van. You don't have to go, but if the family knew that the church had a van that could take them up to visit a family member, do you know the impact that you have on that family? Now you become part of the family. You're not just an Uber driver. You become part of the family. So when you go and take these people up and children up, we actually have social workers in our church who help children write letters. That's part of that family thing, where some of our children who are not able to write and have learning disabilities, we help identify them, because they could be 12 and 13 years old and can't write a letter. So we kind of change that over and shift that over, but we help these children go, and then when they come back, we help them process the visit. We don't do it as a church. We bring in a social worker. And that child social worker helps them to process. This is all under crime. That helps them to process the visit. Why? Because many children grow up angry, upset, frustrated, aggravated one way or another. They could be upset about their parents and say, that'll never happen to me, and go and become an attorney. But they can also be upset about a mother being put away, and now mom is gone, and now out there selling drugs to every woman they see. So the concept is to help them to process these situations. Workplace advocates. Our church, we go around, we have them up on the East Coast, they call them poppy stores. This is where many of our Latino brothers and sisters have started bringing in their businesses. And we have a relationship with them now where we're asking them to hire people coming out of incarceration in the poppy store, in the neighborhood store. Why? Because if a returning citizen is working in the store, you're least likely to have somebody come rob you. These are, I mean, they're critical areas, but they mean a lot. My church has been painted 3 times in 5 years by returning citizens. Why? Nobody's going to put spray paint or mess up that church because Ray painted it. So that's his paint in his church. And he starts coming to shame. Who painted your stuff with the artistic designs? He did. And he needs to get a continual job, and we help monitor them. We also have them working, returning citizens working in the communities with our senior citizens. What are they doing? Horticultural, gardening. All them weeds out there, the returning citizens come and clean up the seniors' homes with a member of the church watching them and being there as an advocate. So that the person, if they don't go inside, they clean the outside. They'll paint the outside. They'll do all of that. These are programs that you can start creating in your own churches. Jobs, working off the streets. We have one where they're, the expungement. Let me say this about the expungement programs. Every state, every county is different in this country. We have learned. We have been working on Bishop Blake's, one of his main thing was to do expungement throughout the country. And as we began to dive into it, we found out that it was a lot of arms. So what we do in Philadelphia is not done in Houston in Missouri City. But what we're doing in New York is different than it is in Atlanta. So we have to be mindful of the legal terms and the legal jargon that happens when it comes to working with people coming out and they want expungement. There is no one way, one method of expungement. But we help you. We help you to identify in your communities where you are of what is needed. So when it comes to expungement, you can contact us. All these things you can contact us with. You can contact me with. I've gone over and talked. Sometimes we do our diligence and help you to identify, even people want to do programs. We help you identify what's your community dynamics and what are the demographics in your community. It might sound good, it might be where the money is, but you might not be able to produce, depending on your community. Then we have, those are the programs and the trainings that we do. Then we have social justice. We've just done a partnership on September the 8th. We did a presentation with Bishop Talbot Swan, who is the head of social justice, and we did Code Red. It was called Code Red on September the 8th, and it was an online presentation, and we kind of addressed the Jacksonville killings and how the crime prevention and social justice fits together. Many times we have more resources than what we really think, and they have to come from a different perspective. So one of the main things that we try to do when it comes to social justice is to help you and I to stay in our lanes. Because if you want to get involved, I've been dealing with the political and social component in the city of Philadelphia, but I had to shift over when it comes to crime prevention, which is a separate entity than social justice, but it works hand in hand. And we had a great presentation of that. That also deals with the legals and legal strategies of finding out what is in your communities, what are in your communities, what is the strategy of the people that are involved in social justice in your communities. Youth Crime Advisory Board. We had to create a youth crime advisory board. But one thing we have to be extremely mindful of is that when you're having anything that has the word youth in it, make sure the youth are in it. Make sure if the president is 55, the vice president ought to be 22. I'm being honest. we have this mindset of we're going to go out there and do this stuff with the youth, and the youth sitting back saying they're not listening. They don't hear me. And these are even our youth in the church. Why? They go to school with them. They went to school with them. So they know the mindset. They know what these individuals are doing. They know what is needed in their communities. And it's extremely, extremely important that we understand the importance of youth and their input. And their input when it comes to crime and crime prevention. I can't emphasize this more. My youth advisory board is 8 people. 5 of them are under 40. And out of the 5 under 40, I said, I got 18-year-old, 29-year-old, 25-year-old, and a 32-year-old. And so we bring individuals in because the area that I am in, a 1-mile radius, back in 2010. In 2010, in Northwest, in Germantown section of Philadelphia, within a 1-mile radius of our church, there was one of the highest crime rates, and I know many of you have heard about Philadelphia and crime. Well, we were right in the middle of it. And as we began to pray, we began to bring organizations together and churches together and began to do these things that I'm sharing with you by involving all these individuals to right now where we are. We were like 3rd, we're now like 12th in regions in the city of Philadelphia. And people come and say, how did you do it? Because what we did was we started providing services, and now folk are saying, you've now established yourself. You now have presented yourself. Now we're ready to help you with some funding because you've established yourself. And I always say this, be mindful when somebody can say, yeah, you can go out there and get it, but you have to have something established. You don't have to save the world, but you just be the I said, don't major in the minors, be the master of one. Know what you're doing. The other is where does this thing keep jumping? Here it is. Community and the re-entrance in the mentoring programs and the halfway houses. Oh, we had another program called Welcome Home. Remember I told you about going to visit these individuals with the families? Every church can do this. The Church of God in Christ can do this because it involves our favorite: chicken, rice, gravy, and string beans. Crime prevention. Welcome Home is when you reach out and you establish how many people who are coming back into your community. Start with 1. When they're coming back into the community, address them while they're in the prison. Find out their last couple of weeks when they come, because it is public information when they're coming back, especially those who are returning citizens coming back in. They can come back in. And many times, family members have this one. Either they're going to embrace them or they're going to reject them. So how do you accept someone and that person comes back and they're rejected? I've worked in the prison systems. I worked in the prison system in Houston, Texas. I worked in the prison system. I was in Darrington. Anybody know about Houston and Texas? I worked in Darrington prison. I've worked in California in San Quentin. I've worked in Philadelphia in the prison system in the state of Pennsylvania, in the city of Philadelphia. So I've worked in this, but there was always something. When they would come, some guys would come back and say, I'm home. And I found out even in our county that you have to embrace the person coming out of incarceration. Within the first 24 hours, they're going to identify how and which way they're going to go. They'll sit in that prison and they'll say, oh, I ain't never doing this again. I'm going to church. I done went to church service in there. God saved me, and I'll never do it again. But when they come out, Pookie done picked them up. And they going to have a party. Because family has now rejected, understandably, because he may have done something to embarrass the family. Sometimes the families they start coming to church because of an embarrassment. But what you want to do is, if you told him that when he comes out, we're going to have a dinner for you, bring yourself a social worker that works for the health service worker. Bring them in. And that person comes in, and you sit down, and you have a dinner with the family with proper social workers. Just somebody there that can talk, that can help him. If one of his issues was to get a job, then get that job advocate. I was telling you about the person that goes around and tries to find jobs in the community for him. And they're all sitting at the table saying nothing, eating fried chicken, string beans, rice and gravy, and cornbread. But it becomes a nucleus of engagement that now this person may not be mad because his family rejected him and he has this label on his head when he or she walks around in the community. One of the three major things when a person comes out of incarceration, normally when a man comes out of incarceration, and when he comes out, he first thing he wants to do is get some money in his pocket. The second thing he wants to do is get a place to stay. The third thing he wants to do is to get back with his family. When a woman comes out, the first thing she wants to do is get with her family. The second thing she needs is a place to stay. The third thing she needs is some money in the pocket. Same three issues, done in different ways. So you have to know how to address them and what you're addressing with. I also own the largest shelter for homeless families in the city of Philadelphia. We have over 112 families. Over 500 people stay at our shelter. And we used to have a word where the majority of our children were 12 and under. When you think of a homeless family, you think of 12 and under. No, the 17-year-olds, the 18-year-olds, and the 19-year-olds, as long as you are in school, you're still considered part of that family. And we fought for the city of Philadelphia to allow us to receive them in, and no longer is it 12 and under. It is now 18 and under, as long as it could be 19 if they're still in 12th grade. But it's still keeping that family intact, and that's important as we go through with this. Working off the street, finding the jobs. Let me go, I'm gonna move. Is this up? Let's go all the way down to, keep going down there, please. That's these are programs. We have programs developed for you. The program is for you. That's working off the street. That's what churches be able to do, returning citizens. We just talked about that. Keep going. Steps, identify people in your church that be willing to become advocates. That's the mentoring. Introduce yourself to businesses within your city council and in your county that have large and small amounts of people. Keep going. Keep going. That's the same program. Keep going. That's the prison visit, support ministry. Expungement program, opportunities. We talked about that. I'm trying to get one more. Keep going. Season of peace. Season of peace. Every church can be involved in a season of peace. You don't have to be the mega church to be involved. You don't have to be the small. You just want to have people come and do a day and create a season of peace. This has happened throughout all the country. And when you say a season of peace, it is about getting relationships with the people in your community. Again, you have to know what the violence is in your community. 25 different types of violence. All of this is not shooting and murdering and drugs. In some areas, it's heavy domestic violence. It is. It's just the spirit sometimes that gets out. Everybody is in it. So we have to be mindful and know what the crimes are in your communities. Keep going. Right here. Go back. Cure violence. There is over $5.2 billion being released out. It's that election time again. There's over $5.2 billion being released out through the Biden-Harris administration coming up this last year. This is where all the monies that they hold on to is starting to come out. But you have to establish yourself and being able to help be a partner and produce. What we're doing is, one thing that they are really very particular about is that you have evidence-based programs. Evidence-based programs. So what we've done is we've worked with the organization Cure Violence. That's Dr. Gary Storkin. And he's a doctor that looks at it and says that crime is a health issue. Mental health, it's a health issue. We were just talking about that. And the fact of crime being a health issue, he comes and says if it's almost like a contagious thing. So what Cure Violence does is you get in contact and you start having a relationship with your hospitals. The churches are what? A lot of times you hear the church is like a hospital. Well, the church can be working with the real hospital. And what we find out, and sometimes a lot of our violent areas and violent crimes, I don't care how violent, it can be domestic violence or anything, that when in some of the major, even in small cities that have high crime areas, if you get with the hospital, because if somebody gets shot, they're going where? To the hospital. When they go to the hospital, who's going to meet with them? Somebody's going to go there and see. So if they shot one of my girls or one of my boys, usually those people come and they start finding out who did it. And that matriculates into somebody else getting mad and going back out and matriculating. So it becomes like a disease and it becomes infectious. That person gets angry. What Cure Violence has done is has brought in the returning citizens, the OGs, those who have been incarcerated and come out and now have established their lives and their careers to helping others stop violence. So Cure Violence literally has this where they come out and they now work with the hospital, so whenever someone gets shot, the hospital calls the church, the advocate, and they say, hey, we got a shooting. I'll go up there, and we go up there with the person who is being employed, getting a paycheck, and is coming, and they go up there, and they begin to help dissolve the issue so it doesn't matriculate into more shootings. Now, this may not make sense to many of us, but you ask those who are in 20 and 30 and 40 years old. Some people can't go to funerals without looking around. That's the reality of it. Some of them come into funerals and everybody got a weapon on them. And these are in some of the small cities too as well. So Cure Violence is a program that we have the full program we have developed. Where the church and the department where the church works at is because the church now helps those who are incarcerated. We become the assistant and the associate to help with the funding to pay. So they'll give the money to the church. And the church helps provide this service for the returning citizens that are coming here and going out. It's all a revolving circle. The Church of God in Christ, we've tried to submit for a grant for this 3 years ago. And it was kind of knocked back, but we just got another notice that's coming up that they want us to resubmit. $5.2 billion coming out this year, election time, and they said, "What about that program you put us up with?" So if you don't know, it's being done in many of our cities right now. St. Louis just got some money to do the Cure Violence program back in 2019. And they're doing a phenomenal job. The city put in for it. The city approved it. They got the money, and the churches are working with them inside the city of St. Louis right now. And they're right now working in every state, as well as Puerto Rico, as well as all the other surrounding areas. So what we're trying to say to you is this: depending on the area and what you're doing and where you are, we want to help you in where you are. So when you hear violence and you say there's things going on, have your ears open, have your minds open, have your hearts open. Give us a call. We will talk with you. We will help do an assessment on your community and what you're able and capable of doing. And it doesn't matter. You can be a church with 15 people and be more impactful where you are. I'm telling you, because you might just be in a community where they're going to say, we need to partner with them. Any questions? Yes, sir. 100. It is always working with law enforcement. And I'll tell you why. You either going to work with them or you're going to work with them. And I'm being honest. You're either going to work with them or you're going to work with them. But our job, our relationship, I'm in one region and district, so they kind of put me in all the other regions and districts surrounding. The police department's pretty large, but what we do is we kind of host a lot of conversations. Our youth board will go and get children from schools, and we have a lot of communication with the police officers, and we do it in the schools. Who's talking about big? Big. We have an auditorium full of youth, law enforcement, and at the end, everybody still, the amazing thing is after the conversations and the table talk, we actually come up with results, and we make sure that they come back to hear the results. We don't just have meetings, we have a result, so that everybody want to come back and hear what they got to say. And we do that within a 90-day period, because then people know that we care. But our youth and our police officers, our law enforcement, and that's why I say it depends on where you live, is how, because we have a lot of county sheriffs, I'm pretty familiar with all that, small, and you have to look at them from that perspective to where you can see how you can fit in and how you can work along with them. But it's okay to let them know you're here to help. First thing I do, I tell them, I'm in this community to help. We ain't going nowhere. God ain't going nowhere. He's right here, and we're representing him. And so by that, they'll appreciate it, and sometimes they'll receive you, they won't. Let me tell you why. Because many times, many churches come in there and they say it and then they back off. They'll say it and they back off. We want to help stability. We want to be able to be here. I got to be transparent because this is critical. We want to be able to be here and just know where you are, but know your niche. If you hear somebody got shot, that don't mean you should be doing that part. If you're not in the area that's going to be effective in helping that part. You can go find out what's happening, but you might want to be helping somebody that has a drug addiction. Because crime is happening, they robbing, they stealing, it's going on. So the police would love to say, if you go out there and we have church advocates, when there are issues, the police department will call me. And I would go out there to the scenes, and when they're talking to certain, will you please talk to him, Pastor Rob? Just talk to him. They don't want to lock him up. Because they're going to lock him up, he's going to go to jail, he'll get back out, and he's going to still do the same thing. Because his family ain't there. So it's a lot of components to that. But yes, we're very heavy in, and we teach you, we work with you, but we do assessments on your communities. Mhm. 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 Well, I'm the former chaplain of the FBI in the city of Philadelphia as well as the DEA. After 10 years, I was the chaplain for the FBI and the DEA in the city of Philadelphia, so I am familiar with that. I also help them. One thing I tell you when you get to everything is FBI is always recruiting, and they always want minorities. And sometimes you can go up to them. They have a recruitment component, and they want the minorities, and they will come in these small towns or big towns, don't matter where you are. They're recruiting. And they want people, if they'll even go, and talk to you. So if you start letting them know that, you're here, whatever you need, they come and they do presentations at our church. In our chapel. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. So don't give up on them. Find something else for them. Ask them what they want to do. You understand what I'm saying? Continue to do it. Yeah? Any more questions? Yep. they do breakfast for them and roll call.
They do roll call without church.
Yep.
Some mornings we offer coffee and donuts, and they change shifts at the church. So they look for community nonprofits to partner with them.
Yeah.
So one of the key ways to start is your precinct in your church.
And they have a liaison. Every law enforcement officer, every law enforcement component has a community liaison. So the first thing you would ask is say, who's the community liaison for this precinct or for this county? Yep. Any more questions? We'll be here tomorrow. We'll have all of the programs listed up and available for you, listed here. Thank you, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Superintendent Harrison, so much for sharing so much information, something for everyone. And we know we are about 15 minutes into the closeout of this session, so I want to turn it over to our president, Dr. Anthony Coleman, to lead as he would. Want to definitely acknowledge our bishops in the room, Bishop Sellers, and also Bishop Morris Jenkins, I'm sorry. Bishop Morris Jenkins, who's also a member of the team, and Dr. Coleman is going to take it from here. Tomorrow, he'll share also the kind of the lineup for tomorrow's trainings. So we hope to see you all first thing in the morning at 9 o'clock. Same room.
Amen. Thank you, Missionary Elizabeth Wilson out of Atlanta, and thank you so much. She took a little bit of my fire. I say fire because I wanted to recognize my boss, our boss, Bishop Sellers, who is our leader. God bless you, sir. And thank you for the support, and I appreciate that because you don't find many leaders that are looking and being a part of to receive information, and so we're definitely honored that he's here. Of course, Bishop Jenkins, and to all of the VPs, all of you, we appreciate you for being here. Tomorrow, this is what I need help. This is what I need help with. Tomorrow, everybody say tomorrow. Tomorrow, we have literally the brainchild for West Angeles CDC. So literally what you hear about Bishop Blake and the CDC, all the various work that they're doing there on Crenshaw and other places, the lady who is the brainchild of that, of course, it's Bishop Blake now, so we know, but he had to have some help, right? So the young lady who literally took the vision that Bishop had and ran with it, she's going to be here tomorrow. You don't want to miss that because she has a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of ideas. Obviously, she's been there and done that. She's retired now, but she wants to come and share and support our efforts. She was also, everyone's heard of Mason Holmes, right? Mason Holmes? She was a part of that. That was her thing. And so under the Bishop Blake's administration, she's going to be here tomorrow, along with Elder Stephen Lackey. He is a fundraiser, literally a multi-billion-dollar fundraiser. I said with a B, that's right. Multi-billion-dollar fundraiser. As a matter of fact, he's the lead fundraiser for the Super Bowl in 2024, which is going to be in Las Vegas. He is Church of God in Christ elder, and he's going to be here tomorrow. Now, y'all see the kind of knowledge and sharing that we're trying to give and show. I need your help, all right? I need y'all to get on the phone, let folks know this is the kind of presentation, these are the kind of individuals we have that we're trying to present and share with the people. We're on Facebook even now, so those that are on Facebook and other means of marketing and whatever, let people know what we have scheduled. This is the kind of stuff we really could charge. We could charge money for this, all right? But everything that we're doing, everything that we've offered up until this point has been free 99, has been free. Hadn't cost a dime. And that's right. And even including, we just had a financial legacy in Texas in Houston at Bishop Bryant's church. It was a phenomenal event, and it was free. Free information. And so we're not doing this for, obviously, we're not doing this for to pad our pockets, because we're not. And I'm grateful as a president. I want to say openly, thank God for a tremendous team who love God, who love the Lord, who loves and ultimately loves this church, to do what they're doing, to present this kind of information when they can get hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. I mean, I'm serious. Sister Wilson is quiet. She's humble and meek, but she has a multi-million-dollar organization. Y'all hear me? I say multi. And she had, I know I'm saying this, but her last funding was over 20 million or something like that. That was just one. That was one. So I'm telling y'all, we have the right staff. We have the right people. I just need your help to get this word out, to get to the people that we have some tremendous information, and that they're really eager and ready to share with you. So with that being said, again, that's tomorrow. We're starting. We'll be right back here at 9. We'll be right back here at 9, from 9 until noon, and to share that information. We're not, are we doing the tour, that type of thing later on? Okay. But while you're here, go by Mason Temple. If you have not seen Mason Homes, literally across the street, down the street from Mason Temple, there's a new conglomerate of, or new facilities of homes that are there. Housing development is right there, Mason Homes. And it was Dr. Lula Balton, who will be with us on tomorrow. It was her resources, her brain, and all of that. So her architectural work in that regard. So please spread the word as we share with the people of God on tomorrow. We have some exciting things happening. We're right now getting ready to have a meeting about, well, our newest VP. She's getting ready to get on the plane, but she is super excited, and she has, when I say resources, we have resources. I'll give you one. I'm trying to get you excited because I want y'all to know that what we're doing is for real. But she has personal contact and with the NFL alumni. And so we're right now planning a dad, so like we did Mom's Tour, so we're doing a dad's initiative. And it's going to be under that family arm of Urban Initiatives. And so wouldn't it be great to go into an area, Atlanta, we're trying to kick it off in Atlanta, where we have NFL former players and execs and so on and so forth, where they're ready to talk to dads, to talk to young men, to share with them their ups and downs, ins and outs, so on and so forth. And they are willing to help travel with us and support. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing. And so we're working on that, and so I definitely need your support, need your help. We need boots on the ground, all right? So we can't do this without you. I apologize for any of the confusion as it relates to where we're meeting and all of that kind of stuff, but we're going to get that together. We're going to iron it out and get it together, all right? If you'd like to support us, as I stated earlier, you can definitely share with Supervisor Sophia Strother-Lewis, and then, or we have Missionary Wilson. We got bishops and supervisors and all that. I'm just honored that I'm leading this corps of persons. But anyway, they are here and ready to receive that information to help us out. Are there any other questions? Did I miss anything? Bishop Sellers, we definitely don't want to allow this or end this opportunity without you being allowed to grace us. He's the highest ranking officer in the church right now. That's in here. That's in here. That's in here. And so we definitely want to allow him an opportunity to grace us and share, and then, of course, we'll be dismissed.
just want to say, is it morning or afternoon? I'm confused. Afternoon, good to be afternoon to everybody and to your esteemed leader, who I believe is doing a phenomenal job. And I think that you all are, those of you that are working alongside of him as VPs and those who have other responsibilities in the infrastructure, I think are doing a phenomenal job, especially under the circumstances of not having all together the resources to platform you and to help you along the way, but through your innovations and through your commitment to God first and his church, y'all have found a way to thrive and to be effective. I think this ministry deserves all kind of opportunity. A lot of people say that nothing's going on during the convocation but shouting and dancing, but you are proof that something substantive, not that shouting and dancing is not substantive, but this is where the rubber meets the road, how to be effective in our local communities, how our jurisdictions, along with our local churches, can be effective. And so you all are necessary. Just look at somebody and say, we're necessary. If nobody else ever tells you, you need to know that you're necessary. And God used our presiding Bishop Emeritus, Bishop Charles Edward Blake Sr., to bring this initiative to the church to help the local church. And thank God that our current presiding bishop did not do as many of leaders that come in as successors do. They initiate their vision and throw away the old. But thank God that our presiding bishop saw something in this to say this needs to be preserved and need to be continued, and have found this great man of God and the many of you that are surrounding him to keep this going. We just got to get a bigger amplifier and microphone to let the world know the Urban Initiatives is making an impact. Just the little time I was here, I enjoyed what I heard. There's so much that is going to be offered, and I wish I could be here tomorrow, but due to a meeting with the General Board, I will not be able to be here. So I'm glad to see y'all are filming. Maybe somebody can slide me a copy, and so I can get the information. Be blessed. I love you all. I wanted to make sure I come in to support and to get the information. And so keep up the great work. On behalf of our presiding bishop, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Bishop. Appreciate that and appreciate you. So don't forget tomorrow that we'll be here. We're not, am I missing anything, missionary? Am I missing anything? Other VPs will be presenting on tomorrow morning. So Superintendent Perez with our diversity and equity, multicultural, and Dr. Slack, okay, education. So if y'all know Dr. Velda Slack, she's new on board, and y'all know she's wealth of knowledge. And so she's going to be here on tomorrow morning as well presenting. So as you can see, we have great, 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 and phenomenal opportunities for you to be involved, all right? With that being said, I don't want to get in trouble because we do have service that's about to start. I would like to see all the VPs, all the staff, for like 2 minutes right after this. Just want to see where we are and then go from there. Thank God for Bishop Young, who is Vice President of the Leadership Conference. And so we're going to be meeting with him in just one moment, but I appreciate him for stopping in. So that's all I have. With that being said, you're dismissed until tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. God bless everyone. Staff, if y'all can come over here.